Today, we're going to be automating an interview process using n8n. We're going to be building an n8n workflow. We're going to be basically taking a LinkedIn URL, scraping some data, feeding that through AI, and then through a bunch of other n8n nodes, and then seeing if the user is qualified for an interview depending on the position that they picked. So it's going to scan a PDF, check the instructions, see if they're qualified or not, and have all that be done in seconds. And if you're brand new to the channel, my name is Elliot. I'm currently running Manyflow AI, which is my AI agency. So this is basically what I do for a living. I build AI automations, AI workflows, and then get paid for it. And I also post content to show you guys exactly how to do the same thing and get started if you have absolutely no development experience. And I try to make sure you follow along and make this as easy as possible for you beginners out there, people just trying to get into the world of AI. So with that being said, let's just jump into it. So here is the flow in n8n. I'm going to test the workflow so you see exactly how this works. I'm going to test it. It's going to pop open a form. I'm going to type in my name here. Do that. I'm going to paste in my LinkedIn URL. So I'm going to fetch that right now. I'm going to drop it here. Which job are you applying for? Let's say I'm applying for a financial analyst, and then I'm going to put in one of my emails here. And then we're just going to click on submit. Cool. So this thing is running. It's going through an AI step, going through a code block, making a request, and then going to send me an email. So what that just did essentially is it checked my details in LinkedIn, see if I was qualified or not. And then clearly I was because I went through this path. So I'm going to pull open my email as well. Here's the email. I just got it 0 minutes ago. It says, "Hi, Elliot. Thanks for applying. You seem like a strong fit for the role. I'd love to set up a quick interview to learn more about you. Would Friday, July 11th, 10 a.m. PST work for you? If not, feel free to give me another time. Looking forward to chatting." So a bunch of stuff actually happened in the back end, and I'm going to cover all that right now. And I do want to mention that this template will be available on my Skool community. I just finished building it out, so by the time this recording comes out, it should be ready. It'll be in the description down below, and you can just download this for free. So what actually happened in the back end here is we were able to download a file, extract the file information, make a request to Relevance AI here. This was to pull my LinkedIn information. It went through an AI step, went through an if statement, some code, then it made a request to cal.com. This is to make the booking, to make sure to see what day I'm available. Because from the email that time, it actually checked my calendar to make sure that booking, that slot was available. And then it went through an AI agent step. It added it to Sheets. So if I pull up Google Sheets here, we can see I have my name, the email, and my score. So I'm going to go into much further detail as I go through each node step by step. So let's actually just start from the beginning right now. So first things first here, if we look at our first node, it's going to be a form. It's going to be an n8n form. Here we have nothing as the authentication. The form title, I called it apply, something really generic and really basic here. The field names, I had the name, which is going to be a text. And then the placeholder is just John Doe. I made this required field. The next one is the LinkedIn URL. I also made this text, made that a required field. And then it says, which job are you applying for? I made this a drop-down list. And I have 3 jobs. I have financial analyst, level 1 engineer, and human resources, right? These are just entirely random, just 3 jobs that I picked. And then if you scroll down, the last one is email, element type. It's an email, placeholder, just a random email. And then respond when form is submitted. So that was the first step. And what's going to happen is whenever they select one of those dropdowns, so if I click on this, once they select one of these, right, we have 3, it's going to go through a switch node and it's going to choose, it's going to see, okay, was financial analyst, so the first one, was it equal to, you know what, actually what we'll do to make it easier is we're going to test this workflow, or we're just going to test this form. I'm going to do Elliot, we're going to pin this data so that we can actually see what's going on here. So I'll do financial analyst, I'll do my email again, submit it. And now when I click on this, we can see our output from the form. And I'm going to click on this button over here to pin this data so we don't have to rerun this every time. So it'll be really, really useful to do this. I like how n8n does have this feature. Make.com doesn't, which is why I really like n8n. You can just pin it and don't have to rerun this. So when you go to the switch node, here was our output data from the form. The first switch step here is, I called it financial analyst, and it's checking to see if it's equal. Is this text equal to this variable, right? And this variable is the financial analyst. So if that's true, so if I test this step now, it went to job 1. If this was, for example, level 1 engineer, it would have gone to job 2. And I renamed these, right? I have job 1, job 2, job 3, which is just easier to keep track right here. Job 1, job 2, and job 3. So that's what the switch node is doing. It's just checking to see which dropdown that we selected in order to know which way it's going to route. So depending on which job was selected, so I believe job 1 is financial analyst. Depending on that, it's going to go to a Google Drive node. It's going to download a file. And so again, I'm not going to be showing the credentials on how to do this in this video. I'll do that in future videos, but just for the purpose of this specific video. But yeah, just sign in with your credentials. Then you can access all of your files in your drive. And I'll probably pull this up right now so you can see what's going on. Right, I made a folder in Drive, and I have 3 random PDFs that ChatGPT created for me. Level 1 engineer, job financial analyst, and human resources. So it's just random information about the role of the job and what they're looking for. Because then we're feeding this into AI to check to make sure off of the LinkedIn data, is this accurate? Are they qualified for an interview? So for level 1 engineer, a bunch of random stuff about things that are required, responsibilities, preferred experience, all this sort of stuff. So what we're doing is we're downloading right now in job 1, we're downloading the job 1 PDF, which is level 1, or no, it's not this one. It's the financial analyst. We're downloading this into our n8n workflow, right? And then the same thing applies for job 2 and job 3. So once we download the correct file, we're going to use an extract from file node, and it's going to basically scrape that PDF and then input it in n8n. And then using binary files in n8n is a little tedious, I'm not going to lie. So you always want to make sure to have the actual node that downloads the file right next to the node that's going to use the binary file. I, for example, cannot extract from file later on because it needs to be the exact step after the download file. So I'm just downloading it, extracting it directly. So now we have that data. So if I were to, for example, test a step here from what we have pinned already, here it scraped that PDF directly, right here, directly from Drive. I have it now from this node right here. Next is going to be the fun part. We're actually going to be using Relevance AI, which is a platform where you can build agents, you can create tools. It's really handy, and I really like using it. There are other ways to get LinkedIn data. You can, for example, run like an Apify agent, but I don't really use Apify. So I figured I'd just make a LinkedIn tool in Relevance AI. So we're going to jump into that right now. Here's Relevance AI. Here's a bunch of previous tools that I've built. So I'm going to go to the first one here, and we're going to build this tool. This will also be in the Skool community where you'll be able to download the n8n template and the Relevance AI tool as well. So it's a very basic tool. We're using only 2 inputs. We're using just a variable here, called it LinkedIn URL. So this is where we paste in the actual URL. So I could probably do this again. And then the next step here is to add a get LinkedIn profile company and post. It's a built-in, I guess you could call it a node. It's a built-in step in Relevance AI that does it for you. So I think this is a lot easier than running an Apify agent. You can just do it directly here. And then I have the URL here set to this variable, right, that we placed, our URL. It's called URL. So we're just putting it here. Our method, we're just getting the user profile. That's all we're doing. So I'm going to run the tool right here with my profile. It's waiting, it's loading, and then I can go to data, and I can see everything on my LinkedIn that has been scraped here. So now all we're doing is basically accessing this in n8n. We're making an API call, a request directly from n8n to Relevance AI. So in order to do that, we're just going to make sure to save this tool. Go to use. We're going to click on API, and then we have all this information here. And all we're doing is copy and pasting this into our n8n HTTP request. So the first thing we're going to do is go to this request node here. The method is post, because we can see here it's called post. We have it right here. It's a post request. The URL, we're just going to copy that from this endpoint here. Authentication, I have none. I have send headers on, and I did using fields below. Content type, application/JSON, then we have authorization, and then value. This is our API key. So in order to get that, we're just going to scroll down, and technically what you want to do, well, what you will have on your screen is you'll have deploy, and then you actually have your API key here. So generate your API key, copy it, and once you copy it, click on deploy. Make sure it's deployed or else this won't work. Now that I just generated a new API key, this won't work for me. So I have to go in here and actually paste in my API key. So this is the new one. I'm going to paste this in. That's my new key. Perfect. Then we have send body. I have body content type as JSON, specify body using JSON as well here. And then our actual JSON body is going to be this right here that we're going to copy and paste. The request body, just copy it. This basically means, right, we have our URL, this was our variable, and now as we're accessing it through an API, it's just going to be 2 blanks here, because like, okay, well, what is the variable? What are we going to be actually using? So you want to make sure to put in the actual, let me see, I believe it is on form submission. We want to grab the URL from our source submission and we place it in between right in between these quotes so that it can call that via API. So if I'm running a quick test here, let's just run it, test step. It just called the Relevance AI tool, and this was what we got back. This is everything from the tool, the data that we got back. So we just made a request to Relevance AI, got it back on n8n. So that was the same thing. I was just doing run tool up here. We just did it in n8n. Perfect. The next step is an OpenAI module. And then here, again, set up your credentials. I'm using GPT-4o. And then this prompt here is basically saying your task is to determine whether the candidate is qualified or unqualified based on the provided information. Make sure to be flexible. You will receive a LinkedIn profile. It's already scraped. Job details, including the role. Analyze the LinkedIn profile in relations to the job details. And then basically, I'm asking it to output in JSON. If I go down here, we could see output content as JSON. That's just going to be a lot easier to map out for the next nodes. So if I go back to the prompts, we have our input data. I have the LinkedIn about. So that is basically all of the information right here from our HTTP request. But you could see something's very different here. It says JSON.stringify and then our variable. That is because the way that we get the data from the HTTP request, we actually can't read it directly. We can't just paste this in. We have to actually stringify the API response in order for our prompt to actually be able to read it. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm stringifying this. And again, this will be in the template. It'll be all done for you. But just to let you know, if you were to kind of mess around with this, make sure to stringify that. And then the job details, that is the info from the scrape that we got on data. No, not from data, from extract from file right here. This is what we're feeding it directly. It scraped the PDF, scraped the information. So now our AI has access to the PDF instructions, and it has access directly to from our LinkedIn data. So that is basically just deciding if we're qualified or unqualified from those 2 pieces of information. So if I test this step, you're going to see the JSON output. Let's check. Right here was the output. It's in JSON. We have the reason right here. I didn't actually end up using this, I don't think. But we have the score. So out of 100, how qualified were they? This is out of 100. So 48 out of 100 is how qualified they are. And it's because it's below 50, the status is unqualified. And then that was basically it, right? We wanted the status, the score, and the reason. Because in my prompt here, status, score, and reason. So that is what this LLM step is doing. It's then going into an if statement. And this is very similar to the switch node, but it's slightly different. All this is doing is it's checking if the score from our LLM step, that 48, was it 48? I believe it was 48. Let me double check. Yeah, 48. It's checking if that 48 is greater than 30. And the reason why I put 30, we could probably just do 40 maybe. It's just because on my LinkedIn, I can't apply to be an engineer, but for the video, I wanted to make it work. So we'll just put 40 right now. So if this is greater than 40, that means we're good, we're qualified, and it's going to go through the true path, right? So if I test the step, it clearly went to the true branch, right? Because it's 48. So that went through this green wire, green connector here. Next is a code step. Now what this is doing, this is just very basic JavaScript. All we're doing is grabbing the current time, and we're also grabbing an end time. This is going to be for the calendar booking to check the calendar to make sure, okay, they're qualified. Now that they're qualified, when can I fit them into my schedule, right? When can I get an actual meeting or a Zoom call with this person? So what this is doing is just giving us 2 variables, 2 output variables. We have the start time and the end time. So the start time is the time that is now, and then the end time is actually just 10 days later. Or actually, let me read this just to double check. Yeah, we do have it set to 10 days after. So that is just kind of giving us the window of calendar to check. So if I just test a step, Here we have our start time, which is the time right now, and then the end time, which is just 10 days later. That is just that window to check for the calendar. I don't want to make it too large, too small, and you'll see why I don't want to make it too large, because in the next step, we're doing a cal.com API call to get all those available listings on my calendar. So if I were to test this step right now, you're going to see that our output is every single slot that's available within those 10 days. So I don't want to feed too much, because this is going into another AI step. I don't want to feed too much for it to get confused. And for the purpose of this video, I figured we'll just keep it at 10 days. But to kind of break down this API, we're going to go over to cal.com right now. I'm not going to go into detail on how to set up cal.com, but it's pretty simple. You just make an event, essentially. You pick however you want. I called it 30-minute meeting. You can pick a few settings here, but the most important thing is actually calling this via API. So what you're going to need to do is, if we go back to n8n, it's going to be a GET request. Here's the URL, http API call.com, v2 slots available. Authentication, I have it set to none. Send query parameters, I have that on. I'm using JSON here for the query parameters. And if I click on query parameters, this is what it looks like. This is kind of the body that we're sending. So we have the start time, the end time, and these are both the variables that came from our code step right here. So we just drag these into the same thing as kind of Relevance AI. We drag these two steps into the quotations, right? So start time, we drag it here. End time, we drag it here. And then event type ID and event type slug, I'll show you how to do that right now. Event type slug, the 30 minutes, is usually, I believe, optional. I could be wrong, but it might be optional. But what is really necessary is the event type ID. So this 952.300, if you click on your actual event, it'll be this part of the URL up here. You have 952.300. Make sure to paste that into the event type ID. And then for the slug, I just set it to the duration of how long my meeting would be. So that is how you set that up. And then the last step, if you scroll down, we want to send headers. It's going to be the same thing as Relevance AI. We have authorization, but this time the value is a little different. What you want to do is actually type in bearer and then no space, and then actually paste in your cal.com API key. In order to do that, you're going to go back to cal.com. You're going to go down to settings. You're going to go down to, I believe it's API keys down here. And then you just add a new key. You can set an expiration date, and you can also name it whatever you'd like. And then you save it, copy that key, and then paste it into this field here. So now that that works, it's then going to go into an AI agent. I was just trying to change it up here. You could also use an OpenAI step or like an AI step, but I just figured I'd use an AI agent step. I'm using Claude just for the model instead of OpenAI. I figured I'd use Claude Haiku 3. Said same thing. I set up a credential. And then our prompt here, this is going to be a little bit more complex. This is where it's actually like picking the time. So your task is to write a professional yet friendly email. The candidate has applied for a position. Okay, we're just kind of giving it some context here. Here are the rules. Use the candidate's first name. And so this is basically just actually writing our email. We're giving it some examples of how the layout should be. And then again, here you can see we have stringify. We are stringifying this entire set of data. So in n8n, a lot of the times when you're working with JSON and you're getting API requests and the output of an API, usually you'll want to stringify it to make sure that an LLM step can read it. So that's exactly what I did, stringified it. Here's the candidate's name that came from the submission itself. And this is going to be writing our email. So that is what that does. Next, I'm just saving and storing that into a Google Sheet. It's pretty simple. Again, log into Google Sheets, credentials, pick the document, pick the sheet that it's on. And then these are our columns from our Google Sheet. And then this was taken directly from our form, but I'd have to test the previous step here. Let's just test this agent real quickly. It's going to write our email for us. Thanks for applying. You seem like a strong fit. Okay. Now we'll go back here. We'll test this step. And we're mapping it out, right? So I believe it's just grabbing from the form submission, right? It says on form submission here, on form submission. We're just going here, dragging these fields in. And the score, except the scores from the OpenAI, that would be from, where is it? That would be from our OpenAI step right here. We would be dragging in the score over here. And then just to finish it off, we're actually sending out that email that our AI agent actually created for us. Go over here, log into your email. Who are we sending it to? We're sending it to the email that's been provided over here. The subject, I just called it name of the actual job here, and then just position after that. So you can see if I, below here, financial analyst position, that is because that is the job that we applied for. Email type, I did text instead of HTML. And then our message is our AI agent output, which was taken from over here. And then append n8n attribution, I had to add that option and then turn it off. That is just an annoying thing that n8n has, that it'll say, oh, sent with n8n on the email. Of course, I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want the person to know I used n8n, so I just turned that off. And then to cover the last step here, this was if they weren't qualified. So it's actually going to ignore all of this booking and, making the request to cal.com, writing the email, saving it. We're not doing any of that. We're simply sending a hard-coded email. Same thing. The emails from the person, we're sending it to the person from the form. Subject, thank you for applying. And then all we're sending is hi, name, thank you for taking the time to apply for, and then this the name of the position again. We appreciate your interest. After careful consideration, we decided to move forward with other candidates, et cetera, right? We're just kind of essentially rejecting them, telling them they're not a good fit right now. And that is the majority, that is the entire n8n flow, just like that. We can test it one more time. If we want to test this workflow, we'll do this. Oh, that's my bad. It's because I pinned the data. So I need to unpin the data. Make sure to do that. Don't make my mistake. We're going to unpin that. Test the workflow again. We'll do a different name. So just to remember, we'll do like James Hunt. LinkedIn URL. I'm going to grab that again just to make sure. Paste it in right here. Let's say I'm applying for human resources. Actually, I might not be qualified for that. So let's just do level 1 engineer. Submit it. Right, it's downloading. It downloaded the file, extracted the file, made the call to Relevance AI for the tool, get our LinkedIn, going through the code step, made the call to cal.com, wrote the email, saved it to Sheets. So let's check our Sheets really quickly. Here we have it here. We have our name, email, and our score of 48 again. That's funny, I did 48. And then let's check our email. Here's the email we just got. Hi, James. Thanks for applying. You seem like a strong fit for the role, and I'd love to set up a quick interview to learn more about you. Would Friday, July 11th, 10 a.m. PST work for you? If not, feel free to share another time. So thanks for making it till the end of the video. Make sure to click down below in the description to join the Skool community and be able to download this template. I know I went kind of quick throughout this tutorial because there was just so much to cover. So make sure to go back, pause the video, download the template, apply it yourself, and kind of redo it yourself if you want. And if you enjoyed, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, whatever you guys want to do. And I will see you guys all in the next video.